Welcome to another episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And I'm going to ask you to do us a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel. That way you always get updates. If you like the content that you've seen so far, fantastic. If you like what you see in this episode, just give us a quick subscribe. Leave us a little comment. Let us know what it is that you like, what it is that you want to see in the future. And we'll go do our best to make sure that you get that. In today's episode, what we're going to talk about is the Romeo-Foxtrot. Incredible vessel. And
it's a Hargrave.
115, is that right?
116 feet.
116 feet. I'm excited to talk about that because we actually got to see it in person.
Yes, we were on that boat back in November, I believe.
October?
Was that October?
It was before Flibs.
Was it?
Yeah,
I
October.
lose track of time.
So October. So, we have personal experience on that boat. It's absolutely stunning. Excited to talk about that. Then our destination piece for today is going to be the Turks and Caicos. This is the, what do I call it? The Atlantic Tropical.
Yeah, we'll go over that as what it's
tropical,
categorized.
Tropical Atlantic.
Correct.
Yes, the Tropical Atlantic piece that I had accidentally teased in a previous episode. Oops. And then we're going to be talking about a safety element, the pre-cruising checklist, which is very, very important. With that, let's jump into it and let's start talking about the Romeo-Foxtrot.
Romeo-Foxtrot. First off, breathtaking. I always say anything that is custom Hargrave is always breathtaking to me. It fits my eye naturally. I've been seeing them since I was a young kid. It's just, and this is a tri-deck too. It's a big boat. There's no way around it. This is a large yacht. The colors that are in this, the interior designing, which the interior design is Shelly D. Corndina.
She's based out of Fort Lauderdale.
She's out of Fort Lauderdale.
Shout out Fort Lauderdale, right? Hey.
Well, it's this yacht capital of the world.
With good reason.
And she did a phenomenal job.
Oh my gosh,
colors in this interior, the flow through from each little area to another.
She married that timeless classic look that never goes out of style with modern elements that we can almost expect to become timeless. But she did it in such a way that it blends into a piece of art. It's a masterpiece the way she did it. It's fantastic.
It's absolutely breathtaking. One of the things that caught me on this boat was the dining room table, the live edge teak, and the way in which she did it. So it was so really smart, different, and just instead of having the live edge that we always see on tables on the outside, she turned it on the inside and filled it with resin.
Yeah,
and it was breathtaking. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful table. It really just accentuated the area that it's in. And then the little details that she did to separate the salon from the dining room.
It was so crafty.
Like, and then you also start to pick up, it's got really tall ceilings.
Over 7 feet.
Over 7 feet. I think it's 7 feet 2 inches to be exact.
That's what I thought. I was like, I didn't want to say 7'2". It might be 7'3", but I thought it was 7'2". That's right.
Which for tall people, that's really important because it doesn't really give you any problems, right? I've got some tall people in my family. We have some tall people here.
Yeah.
So, that's really important. But just in general, I mean, the other thing that you notice on this boat is floor to ceiling glass on the main floor, on the main deck. It's absolutely brings in tons of light, which shows off the colors, the dark woods and the light furniture, and then the color pops of that ocean blues that she mixed in.
She used a lot of like natural, I'm going to call them natural colors, like colors from nature, so natural colors that just blend in so well. And
absolutely.
And when that light comes in, it doesn't emphasize it in a way that takes away from the entire experience that you're having while you're in that space. It enhances it, right?
That's
Which
correct.
is, I think, when it comes to interior design, such a unique touch, because a lot of times you'll see people want to emphasize certain things, so they make certain pieces. Whereas I think what she emphasized with her interior design is the ability to entertain, your guests in a very comfortable way, in a very luxurious way. But she also did it in a way that, the service team and anyone that's helping, with I don't know what it's called. Yacht crew, the crew. Thank you. Again, I'm having one of those days.
We'll have them. Don't worry.
How do you forget the word crew? But the crew, won't have to interact with anybody, unnecessarily, so that they could just go about their business.
They become very discreet.
Yeah, they just,
which is nice.
It's very nice. It gives everybody kind of a sense of peace, and they can go about their work without having to, worry about, bumping into you and your guests, and you and your guests can go about enjoying your time without having to feel like, oh, I'm getting in someone's way while they're working. It's just the way she designed it is just
very thoughtful.
Very thoughtful.
So the other aspect to this one was a main deck owner's estate room.
Yeah.
Which I love. Once you want to
really
retire
smart,
at night, you're right there,
just
right?
walk
no
right
more
in.
stairs.
Yeah.
It's great.
And that main deck owner's estate room has
full beam estate room.
Yeah, it's a full beam, correct, with a his and hers walk-in closet and
his and her bathrooms. With the shower in between.
And the shower in between that marries the two. I was like,
stunning.
Absolutely.
Really kind of stunning.
Yeah, really hard to take video footage of it, but stunning, yes.
I know for me, I love a his and her closet.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Because if you have a his and her closet, at least that space, my space. That's your space.
Right, yeah. It's nice.
Because I know at home, my closet is now about this small.
Right,
and then not just that,
but a whole his and her, I guess this... Can you call this a head? It's just a whole restroom. I don't know how else to describe it. You know what I mean?
His and her heads, yes, with the shower in between. And it reminds me more of the size that you would see in somebody's home, not in somebody's yacht.
Each of those heads were bigger than the one at my house.
There you go.
I'm not joking. That shower, I think, was bigger than the restroom at my house.
There you go.
It is so spacious. And all of the pieces are so beautiful. So
right.
It was designed, again, for luxury and comfort all in one, which is really hard to pull off sometimes.
Right. And then down below on the lower deck, you have 4 more estate rooms for guests.
Yes.
All with king beds. So you could literally take 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 people on a charter, or you can take 8 of your friends if you're a couple and you want to take some friends along for a ride or go cruising out somewhere.
Is that an invitation or?
Yeah, sure. But the other thing is the range on this boat.
Yes.
Now, this boat's got some serious range, or yacht. This large yacht has some very serious range. So I believe it was a little over 1,100 miles.
Right.
And if you go down to 8 knots, that literally doubles that.
It
so that's
nearly
getting
doubles.
some very serious range into it.
Yeah.
This boat did go across the Atlantic at one point in time over to Greece.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. It did a little Mediterranean time.
Yeah.
And the Captain Chris, which we met when we toured the boat.
He's such a great guy.
Very nice guy. Showed us all the way around, showed us everything. But he did talk about the stability of this boat with the multiple stabilizers on it, and said it felt very, very comfortable going across. When he expected it to be a rough ride, it was not.
Yeah.
And he was very surprised himself at the handling characteristics of this boat.
Yeah, and when you're on a vessel like this, that's really what you're looking for.
Yeah, you want to be comfortable, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I thought one interesting piece was the captain's room.
Yes, so let's talk about that.
I think it's very important.
Captain Chris loved it. He talked a lot about it. Is the captain's estate room was right off of the helm.
Yes.
So he actually was capable of being there in a moment's notice for an emergency. So if somebody's on the night watch and something's not going as planned, they simply turn around and knock on his door, and boom, he's right there in an emergency situation. Instead of having to go down below to the crew quarters, wake him up where they're leaving the helm, and introducing even more risk at that point in time. Now they're not leaving the helm. They're literally turning around, knocking on his door, and then he wakes up and he's out. So it's literally...
It was such a unique feature. And then the amount of space that he had in that room, too. I was like...
Yeah, it's a feature that we see, but usually on very large yachts.
Well, yes.
Right? Or commercial vessels. So it's great. It's excellent for safety. Obviously, Captain Chris, the way he talked about it, he loved it.
He loved it. You could tell that he loved every element that he got to talk about.
But then when we're talking about crew and its crew quarters too, this one had 4 crew staterooms, I believe.
No, I think it had.
It handled, no, it did.
2,
because it handled,
4 with double bunks.
right, and 8 crew.
Right, that's right.
So, and it has its own kitchen downstairs for crew, its own saloon for the crew.
The washer dryer down there.
It had 2 washer dryers, so you can do multiple loads of laundry. And then on the lower deck, it had another washer and dryer for what he called delicates or swimsuits or something like that. That you need to wash immediately.
And that crew space is right off of the galley.
The galley.
And so it's almost like an invisible little stairway down.
Right. And that's, again, leads back to why they can be so discreet while they're servicing those enjoying the yacht.
Exactly. I thought it was fantastic. And
it really was.
There is so much that we can talk. We could talk about
I could go on
this
about
yacht
because there's so much space. Has a beach club on the aft deck.
The tub.
It's got a hot tub up on the sky bridge.
Up on the sky bridge.
It's a little 2-person hot tub, but it's enjoyable. It had a very unique kind of piece of glass that showed into it
so
with
you
a little waterfall.
And then
very neat.
I just thought it was fun. They had the little thermometer, and it was the little rubber ducky. I was like, "Yo, that's a nice touch, man."
Yeah, trust me, I got plenty of rubber duckies having a little kid at home. So
it was fun. It was
absolutely it's absolutely breathtaking. Has everything that you absolutely could desire, need, want. It fills everything.
Like even it's more thoughtful. I think it's more thoughtful than for you than I think you could be for yourself half the time, because even the spiral staircase was done in not just elegance, not just comfort. That carpet was incredible. Not just all of that, but it was done in such a way that it was part of like the visual, tapestry. Right. That was that lounge space.
And it wasn't all carpet. There was engineered hardwood in this boat too. Yeah. It really adds to it. I love that type of stuff. I'm not a carpet fan. So,
you don't have to be. I'm not.
No, and in this boat it offered that. So the
other
thing that really struck me personally is obviously the owner of this yacht likes to enjoy themselves.
Yes.
They're obviously adventurous. There was kayaks and paddle boards on board when we toured this boat.
That's right.
So they're a little bit adventurous. But also it looks like they like to have a little bit of fun, because what did they pull out of the sky deck? Do you remember? What was hidden behind the cabinet?
I don't remember.
The slushy machine.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, who would not want one of those? Yeah. Do we have pre-made margaritas or daiquiris or whatever you like while you're touring some islands?
Yeah, or just slushies for kids.
Or slushies for kids. I have a feeling it's for adults.
I'm just trying to,
Absolutely. But, you can, there's ways around that. But, yeah, I mean, it's a breathtaking boat. Hargrave has always made breathtaking boats. Like I said, I've been known about Hargraves and seeing them since I was very, very little. Mike Joyce, who's the caretaker of Hargrave right now, does a phenomenal job, an absolute phenomenal job with his yachts.
Yeah,
and this one really shows. Hargrave is just a great business in and amongst itself.
Right.
So if you're looking for something in that size range, I would go speak to the people at Hargrave.
Yeah.
And let them come up with something for you, because they did such a phenomenal job with Romeo-Foxtrot that I would love to see it repeated and one-upped.
Yeah.
And I believe they're actually in the midst of already doing that.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
That's I'm excited to see that.
So I think next, what do we have on our agenda next?
Turks and Caicos.
Oh, yes.
Turks and Caicos.
Not far from our shores, really.
No, it's really close. It's halfway between us and Puerto Rico, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
it's just south of the Bahamian Islands. So as you're cruising down the Bahamian Islands, if you keep going south, you run into the Turks and the Caicos.
Right. It's if I'm not mistaken, you're cruising like the eastern side of the Bahamian Islands, right? Headed in a south.
You can do both the east or the west.
Okay.
Preferably, I like the west, because you're not going to expose yourself to the Atlantic.
Okay.
So you get a little smoother ride, but you are going to have to be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like the Bahamas. There's some shallow waters. There's lots of reefs that you need to watch out for. So when you're touring around these islands, it's very important to really do it during a sunny day, so you can actually see what you're encountering.
Right. Sunny with like sun out. Right? Like not just during the day, but sunny. during the day.
Yeah, this way you can see into the water. You can see what you're going through. You can kind of eyeball the depth. Very, very important because just like the Bahamas, lots of reefs, lots of shallow water.
And the article mentions, I think, a great tip. The waterway guides will help.
Yes, so that's another thing. Through the Bahamas, through the Turks, use your waterway guide. I mean, it's perfect for you. It lets you know not only where you can and can't go and gives you direction, but it's also going to give you some more information in regards to what's at port.
Yes, right? That's right.
What's the available features in the marinas? Gives you a lot of information. So, and they're a friend of ours.
Yes.
So waterway guide, if you don't have your waterway guides, I suggest you go onto their website. They even have an app now for waterway guides, which is excellent. So download the waterway guide app. It'll definitely help and improve your experience while you're cruising the islands. No doubt about it. But then there is 40 islands in the Turks and the Caicos. Turks and Caicos.
I was going to say quesos? Oh, you're thinking about some
hungry.
Food. Let's talk about some queso.
Queso, yummy. But only 8 of them are inhabited.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the Bahamas. Lots of islands, but only a couple are inhabited. And then they have some of the most amazing water, just like the Bahamas. Lots of activities to do.
Water activities,
paddleboarding to scuba diving to snorkeling, just everything you can think of. Mm-hmm. And even on some of these islands, there's a lot to do. And there's a lot of history with them, even between the U.S. and the Turks and the Caicos, because this is where we used to retrieve the capsules from, the NASA capsules.
Right.
For Gemini, Apollo. Mm-hmm. This is where we retrieved them from, and we had a United States Air Force base on some of these.
Yeah, so we have a lot of history with these islands.
The Turks and the Caicos. And they have a museum for this stuff.
Right.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah, so if you're a history buff or if you love the space program, it's a great place to go, visit. Just because of that right there. There's elements of history that you'll probably only be able to pick up from those museums because of the experience, the firsthand experience that they had with that time.
That's correct. You also get great fishing down on the Turks and the Caicos because on the eastern side you have the Atlantic shelf, drastic change in water depths, and that's where all the great fishing happens.
Right.
So fishing, kayaking, paddleboarding, scuba diving, snorkeling, just there's so much to do there that I'm ready to go right now.
Well, you know me, I don't do fishing, not because I don't want to, but just because I haven't done it.
Is this where I get to say no?
No. That's where I get to say no.
Well, maybe. I mean, there's no about the Turks and the Caicos. I can give you that.
That I would agree with.
If you want a yes out of me,
hey, you want to go to
now you know the secret.
Hey, you want to go to Turks and Caicos?
I mean, I did put a requisition in for a trip here recently, right?
Yeah.
I think I got a no on that one.
Oh, we definitely got a no on that one. We could have tried a different budget or something. I don't know, but all right.
Well, we'll resubmit that requisition.
So what issue is Turks and that's a February article, right?
No, Turks and Caicos is.
If I get this right,
right, are you sure?
I'm almost positive.
No.
Yes.
Turks and Caicos. What is that?
Where does it say Turks and Caicos? Oh, I was wrong. All right.
So it is in the January 2024 issue.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Make sure to read this article. I think you'll actually have it out on the web here soon too.
Yeah, I'll put it online as well.
This is one that's a great read. A lot of people are curious about the Turks and the Caicos. It's easy to navigate to, not far away. You do need to pay attention. Use your waterway guides when you go down there, cruising down there. Very, very important. As I mentioned before, you don't want to have a problem while you're down there.
No.
They do have some marinas and some shipyards that if you do encounter a problem, there are some.
They do have a lot of resources. It's
correct.
One of the better locations.
Correct.
For
and for provisioning, it's not a bad stop off.
Right. Exactly.
Because they do have a lot of grocery stores that are just like here in the U.S. and some of these islands. So if you are looking for a new place to go and looking to adventure a little bit farther than the Bahamas, maybe this is your next option.
Yeah. And with that, if you are going to be cruising out this way, make sure that you listen to this next point that we want to touch on.
This one is so important.
A pre-cruising checklist. right? Even when you're an experienced boater, having a pre-cruising checklist is one of the smartest things, because maybe you forget something very simple. For example, I just forgot the word crew. Earlier, I forgot the word foredeck. Like, sometimes things just slip out of your mind. So you want to have a checklist that you can actually reference to make sure that you're always safe. It's very, very important. So we actually created a pre-cruising checklist for all of our subscribers. And we're working on turning this into a downloadable PDF that we want everybody to have for free. So once that's done, it'll be in the description. If you don't see it in the description, it's because it's not done yet. And you can always email me, ian@southernboating.com, and I'll give you an update on that. But outside of that, let's run through this pre-cruising checklist.
Yeah, pre-cruise checklist. First thing for me to check, safety equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I have life jackets, flares, and making sure that my flares are not expired.
Right.
Remember, we've talked about this once before.
Yeah.
First aid kit, fire extinguishers, working flashlights, make sure that my horn's working. There's just so many different things that you need to check on.
As far as safety equipment.
And that's why, that's safety equipment.
Yeah.
But then let's talk about navigation systems and navigation equipment, right?
Right.
Making sure that
it's
all of that
working
is working properly,
like
that you've downloaded the most recent charts before you get into open water, to where you might not have a signal, or you're depending upon your satellite signal.
Right.
And that's not always good. So do it before you leave.
Yeah, because imagine, you know how annoying it can be when your GPS in your car goes out and it's like, it's saying you're 3 streets this way, and you're like, no, I'm not. What's going on? At least I know my way. Fantastic. You know, when you're out on open water, it gets a little harder to be sure that you know your way.
You do not want to have a problem while you're out in the open water.
Absolutely not.
But then the next one is checking your engines, your fuels, your oil levels, just all of your fluids, making sure that, everything's up to snuff, right? Now's the time to check it before we get out. Not later when you're experiencing a problem and go, oh man, I got water in my gas. This is bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not the time to do it.
No. And real quick, just so you know, which issue is this?
This issue is actually December of 2023.
Our December 2023 issue, our safety column is what we're referencing right now. It's on page 64. So if you want to go check it out, check out the web reader on our website.
Read about Hargrave in this issue, and then read about
the Romeo-Foxtrot, and then this safety piece, right?
I mean, we can keep going down the list. I mean, making sure that your electrical systems are up to snuff.
Right, and the bilge pump.
The bilge pump.
The anchor.
Totally need to make sure your bilge pump is working.
Yeah.
Right? Make sure that your anchorage gear is proper. Make sure that, if you're sailing...
Yeah.
Double checking your sails and all your rigging
and all the rigging equipment. And
dude, you do not want to have a problem.
You want to check your water filtration systems, your plumbing,
your water systems. A must. You do not want to get out there and find out that you have a problem with your fresh water supply. Because if you're a day away from shore and you don't have fresh water and you got salt water intruding into your fresh water,
right,
you got a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Making sure that you're stocked up on your provisions as well.
Think about how much of this we're talking about. I can guarantee you, as you're watching this and listening to this, you're thinking, oh yeah, if one of those went out, I would have a big problem. But I want you to ask yourself, okay, how often when you're getting ready do you actually check every single one of these things, right? So we just want to emphasize it's about safety. It's not about preaching. We don't want to be the preachy type. It's about safety because let's face it, we want to keep
safety is most important.
The boating community safe and healthy and going.
Even down to your documentations, making sure you have all of your documents that you need, from your passports to your boating documents to just every last little thing.
Right.
It's just all of it is absolutely important. Making sure that you check the weather before you leave. You need to know this stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I think the last one
on top of it,
so important.
Being prepared for an emergency.
Yes. So having an emergency plan.
Yeah. If you do encounter an emergency, you want to have a plan and know what you're going to do once you encounter that emergency. Not all of a sudden coming up with a plan once you have an emergency. No, have emergencies. One of the big things that I would compare this to is a pilot of an airplane. always has a plan to check down through once an emergency happens.
Right.
Do it as a boater too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes sense.
And
then you can stay. One of the most important things to do when you have an emergency is staying calm. If you have a plan, it allows you to stay calm.
And I'm confident that there are boaters out there watching and listening thinking, well, yeah, obviously we're going to check all this stuff. You know, if that's you, fantastic. You're exactly the kind of boater that we need, you know, as our community grows.
They're probably shaking their head. Yes.
They're like, yes. I mean, honestly, leave a comment if we're forgetting something that you think is extremely important that needs to be as part of your checklist. Absolutely. We can add it, and we can redo this list with all of your recommendations based off of your experience.
Well,
leave a comment so that
this is true.
So that we can take your experience on the water and make sure that it benefits the rest of the boating community as well, because we always help each other out.
That's correct.
That's just part of it.
That's the way of the boating community. I mean, it's always been. I've been taught that since I was young, and you know, it doesn't matter whether they're friend or foe. You help them out.
That's right. So, with that said, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of the Southern Boating Podcast. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you like the video if you did like the video. If you would like, which I would appreciate, hit the notification bell icon so that you can get notifications whenever a new episode comes out. If you're listening somewhere, thank you for listening. We really do appreciate you guys. We do this for you. Feel free to contact us, either commenting or emailing me, ian@southernboating.com, and we will get back to you as quickly as humanly possible. And from everyone at Southern Boating,
thank you.
Thank you. Ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm always ready.
You're really?
Right. I'm almost always ready. I do
Okay,
that. I do that every time.
okay.
I'm almost always ready. Welcome.
Smile.
Oh, God. Come on, man. I was just about to start. All right. Stop moving. Make a decision.
It's my ADD. I can't help it. Can you just roll with it?